welcome back to my channel. My name is Belinda. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button. But if you're part of the family, welcome back. Today's video is going to be an addition to my honest work conversation series. It's been a while since I did one of these career. Has it been a while? I think because I've been mainly focused on wellness, more from even mental health perspective, and just different things you can do, etc. But today's is going to be an addition to the honest work conversations, and it's going to be one that's a bit, would you say, contrary to the types of videos I have been making in this area. So most of you probably follow my channel because you've caught up with one of my ACCA, CISA, project management, AWS videos. So I'm heavily a qualifications girl. But today's video is actually about why qualifications are not enough. And essentially, I'll just walk you through my thought process and just something for you to bear in mind. So don't get me wrong, I am actually currently pursuing a specific qualification, which you'll see videos about when I do sit the exam. I tend to allow time for me to actually be a student before I come on here sharing tips when my own self, I need the tips. I've learned, especially in 2024, I got to learn some of these points, and I think it's worth sharing them. It's worth us helping each other because qualifications are a big investment. There are so many out here, so you might as well invest wisely in the ones that you choose and know the main reason why you're deciding to dedicate your time, your money, and your efforts into a specific qualification. You better get the best out of it. So I'll start off. I have a few points here just to make sure I stick to it because 2025 is the year of action. I'm not here to, take too much of your time. I want you to get on with doing the things that you need to achieve in 2025. So I'll start off on a positive note. Why are qualifications important? So you would probably be thinking of pursuing a qualification because either you've had it at your workplace, your colleagues are probably pursuing it, so it's something that in your line of work people expect of you. So if this is the main reason why you're pursuing it, it's probably you're either in a technical role where for you to stand out, then you should be having it, or you just want to be really good, legitimize your experience. So experience is the number one teacher, by the way. Qualifications can never replace experience, but you want to legitimize it, you want to improve your CV, etc. So if this is the case, then probably, go for it. Another reason could be because you're switching roles. So for example, if you started out in a specific career and you feel it's about time you change, you want to swap over into tech, into project management, whatever line you are thinking of switching role to, a good way to kickstart that process is to actually get qualifications because it helps you get through the door. So experience tends to trump over anything else, but if you don't have the opportunity to have the experience straight up, it just depends on your circumstances. So a good way is to get a qualification that at least when you put your CV through for that application, there's a chance it will be looked at. And this is a very, very good reason to pursue a qualification because, it's better late than never. So if you are thinking of doing project management, it makes sense to do a PMP qualification, for example, because roles, when you tend to look at the minimum requirements, they will clearly state the qualifications that they need you to have as a bare minimum. Another reason could be networking opportunities. So especially as you rise up the ranks, you probably, depending on what position you're going for, being part of, like accounting especially, being part of that body, that, what did you call it? It's more like ISACA for CISA or the ACCA if you're a member or a fellow. It's prestigious. You tend to hang out with people who are probably in that line of path as well because they'll have events every year. They'll have webinars, they'll have conferences where they get to discuss the latest in those areas. So being able to join such events, you get to meet people you probably look up to, people who will come in handy when you want to switch employers, things like that. So networking is a good opportunity. And honestly, it just makes you better at your job for the most part. So you get to learn some best practices because sometimes when you're knee deep in your work, sometimes getting that external perspective, the only way to really get it is through doing a qualification. Of course, working on different things helps with that exposure, but when you do also a qualification, especially the practical ones, you get to gain some insights that you can then bring back to your role, and that's honestly the whole point of doing it, to be able to apply it. However, please don't think doing qualifications will get you through, make you rise through that ladder. There are some things that I wanted to call out that honestly trump over this. So qualifications should be like a crutch. They're meant to help you complement what you have going on, but these other areas are super important in helping you rise through the ranks, and qualifications just are not enough. They're genuinely not enough to get you through to the top without these other aspects. So a top one that I learned in 2024 is sponsorship, importance of sponsorship. There's actually a big difference between sponsorship and mentorship. So mentorship is more where there's someone probably who's thriving in the area that of your career or your field, someone who's probably made it. Let's think of it, they're a CEO, they're a partner, they're at the top of their game, and you want to learn from their experience. So it's more about them walking you through their own experience. So you can probably go to sound off specific ideas you have or things you want to do, and they can tell you from their own experience whether they think it will work or not. So it's not a passive relationship. I don't know how to position it, but that person's role in your career ends after your mentorship session. There's some who, out of their own goodwill, advocate for you after that, but there's not that much expectation of advocacy from your mentor. They're meant to ideally be your safe space for you to open up, they give you advice, and it ends there. A sponsor, on the other hand, actively wants you to succeed. So when someone accepts to be your sponsor, it's their role to talk in those rooms when you're not there. So they take you on like as a project, they believe in you, they believe in your case, and ideally they're meant to advocate for you when you're not there, to in those rooms that where those decisions are happening. So a sponsor is meant to be someone who's has that power in your workplace to make things happen for you. So ideally it should be like a director in your team, a partner in your team, someone who is part of the decision-making authority, and they should be on your side. So, and normally you don't need many. You can actually just do with one, ideally two. But you want to have a sponsor on your end to help you grow in your career. And if you don't have this sponsor, you can get as many qualifications as you want, but for as long as, especially it's more internal. So I feel like qualifications mainly helping you when you are considering external opportunities, because that's when your CV comes into play. But when it's internal within an organization, it's more about who you know. That's when that mainly comes in. And a sponsor is a big part of who you know. They need to believe in you and you need to convince them. So sponsorship, I think I probably need a whole video on this with other people as well, giving me the ideas on, how do they explore getting a sponsor? How did it work out? How has the sponsor helped them? And we can probably explore this in more depth. Yeah, so sponsorship, super important. Trumps having qualifications. Without a good sponsor, yeah. Another thing is strong work ethic. So you can get as many qualifications as you want. You can be have the highest score in them as well. But if you don't have a strong work ethic, then it's pointless. Because the best way to sell your case at the workplace is being reliable, people knowing when they give something to you, it's going to be done and it's going to be done well. This is up until a point. So you don't want to be killing yourself doing work because you can then become everyone's donkey. So you have to be smart with this, but having that as your foundation where people know, your work is good, that's what you want. That then add on additional technical expertise like with the qualifications, add on things like networking, who you're gonna thrive. Another one, the last one, and it's quite closely linked to the sponsorship one, is being politically savvy. So every workplace has its own dynamics, it has its own politics, and you want to know the informal rules of the game. So I remember speaking to a friend. We were sharing a flight back to Kenya, and we were both, sharing our own experiences at work, etc. And he said, "Don't hate." One of the things that stuck with me is he said, "Don't hate the player, hate the game." And essentially, you can feel whatever frustrations you have at your workplace, focus on that, or do what needs to be done. And I don't mean this in a negative way, of course. Always have principles, etc. But what I simply mean by this, and what we were discussing, and we actually agreed on this heavily, was that you need to understand the dynamics of the workplace. You need to understand what they value. You need to understand what this checklist is, because there's what's on paper as, yeah, for you to progress, do this, do that, do that. And probably that's what's checked in a performance when you're doing your performance reviews. But until you crack what it is they actually look for, that's not written on paper, it's going to be really hard to rise at the workplace. So every workplace has politics. And unless you feel the politics is so toxic and you need to, then at that point you need to change employers. But if you're sticking with your current one, you need to learn the rules of the game and see how to authentically survive and thrive without losing yourself. So normally there are ways. You don't have to follow everyone else's path, because everyone makes their own path, but you need to test whether your path is working. Is the strategy you've chosen working? And a good way to test is to ask people who would not be biased and would tell you the truth, what they think of you. And that perception, being able to test that, what people perceive, what's your perception to others, is a good way to know whether your strategy is working or not. Because you want to work smart, you don't want to work hard. Because funny enough, the people who rise are not necessarily always the best. So that makes you wonder why. And you can sit there being super frustrated or do something about it. So these are some of the real raw conversations that I want to explore a lot this year, because it's good we help each other out in some of these things, because no one really talks about them until you've been burnt. And I think things need to be said. I think it's worth us helping each other, especially minorities, because there's a difference in culture. There's a huge difference in our cultures, and that can play a part in not understanding the politics of the workplace, not understanding what you need to do, etc. And we might as well help each other out. So if you're really liking where we're going with this, you know, series of videos, hit a thumbs up, engage with me in the comments, let me know what it is you want me to explore. Some of these touchy topics, I am more than happy to bring on some of my people in my network. We can explore, get to hear what people have done, what strategies have worked, and yeah, let's build each other. It's the year of action, it's the year of getting things done, and let's do it. Cheers, bye.